So let's talk about something that gets overlooked a lot. You might think that once a protest is over and you're heading home, that's it, mission accomplished. But honestly, that's just not the full story. The work, the cycle of activism isn't really complete until you take the time to care for yourself and your community after the event is over.
And that's exactly what we're covering today. This is the final installment of our 5-part series on protest safety. We've gone through everything from preparation and surveillance to encounters with law enforcement and dealing with chemical agents. Now we're diving into that crucial final phase. What happens next?
So picture this. You've done it. You were out there, you made your voice heard, you stood for what you believe in, and now you're home. The adrenaline is fading and you're probably exhausted. The big question is, now what? This moment right here is where the real work of sustainable activism begins. It's what ensures you can show up again feeling healthy and secure. That's why we call it the protest after the protest. Think about it. During a demonstration, you're running on adrenaline. It's an amazing thing that can mask total exhaustion, a turn of stress, even minor injuries. That's exactly why taking time for intentional care, physically, emotionally, and digitally, isn't just a nice idea. It's an absolutely critical final step.
Protests are draining. I mean, they're physically demanding and emotionally intense. You've been on your feet for hours, you've been on high alert, and you've been processing some really heavy stuff. So your first order of business has to be tackling these 2 key areas, your body and your mind.
Okay, this checklist might look super simple, but you'd be surprised how easy it is to forget this stuff in the moment. First, rehydrate. Drink a ton of water, way more than you think you need. Then, get some nourishing food in you. Take a shower, which is so important for washing off any potential chemical residues you might have come into contact with. And finally, sleep. Seriously, let your body rest and recover.
And then there's the emotional side of things. Whatever you're feeling after a protest, whether it's anger, frustration, or total inspiration, it is all valid. The key is to actually process it. For some people, that means writing it all down in a journal. For others, it's talking it through with a protest buddy or a friend. The most important part is to just give yourself the space to reflect without any judgment. There's really no wrong way to feel.
Now, sometimes these experiences can stick with you in a way that's tough to shake on your own. You know, if you're dealing with anxiety that just won't go away, or you're having nightmares, or you just feel stuck and can't get back into your regular routine, that's a sign. It might be time to talk to a professional. And remember, seeking help is a huge sign of strength, and it's a vital part of staying healthy for the long run.
All right, so once you've taken some time for your personal well-being, the next step is to secure your environment. Your safety plan doesn't just stop the second you walk through your front door. Potential risks can absolutely follow you home, both in the digital world and the legal one. So let's break this down into 2 tracks you need to be thinking about. On the digital side, do a security audit. Go through your social media posts. Are there photos that could identify you or others? It's also a really good idea to change key passwords, just in case. On the legal side, the actions are just as critical. If you were arrested, your very first call should be to a lawyer. And if you witnessed any misconduct, it is so important that you document and report it. If you were arrested, this checklist is your immediate game plan. The number one thing to remember is this: an arrest is not a conviction. So call a lawyer, do not miss any court dates, and start gathering every single piece of evidence you can. Photos, videos, witness contacts, and then just follow your attorney's advice to the letter. They are your best resource. And hey, if you witness something, your documentation is what drives accountability. The trick is to act fast while the memory is fresh. Write down every detail you can remember. Gather any evidence you have. And here's a really crucial tip. If there were injuries, take photos of them as they develop over a few days, because bruises and things change over time. Then report what you saw. Your story is part of a much bigger picture. Okay, now we're getting to what might just be the most powerful phase of all: strengthening the community. This is all about taking your individual experience, everything you learned and felt, and using it to make the entire movement stronger and more resilient for the future. A team debrief is a fantastic way to do this. You start with an emotional check-in, just a safe space for everyone to share how they're doing. Then you analyze what happened, what went well, what were the challenges. The goal here is learning, not placing blame. And finally, you turn those lessons into a real, concrete plan for next time. This is how a movement grows. Ultimately, community care is the engine that keeps sustainable activism running. It can be small things like just checking in on your friends in the days after a protest. And it can be bigger things like sharing knowledge and continuing to advocate in new ways. These actions build the relationships that a movement relies on. I really want to pause on this for a second because this quote right here, this is the core message of this entire series. Every single safety tip, every step of aftercare we've talked about, it's all about one thing: making sure your voice can continue to be a force for change, safely and for the long haul. And with that, we've come full circle. Over these 5 explainers, we really covered the complete cycle of protest safety. It starts with preparation before you even leave your house, then moves to managing surveillance, navigating encounters, dealing with things like chemical agents, and finally, the aftercare we focused on today. You see, it's all connected. So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to think about. After everything we've covered, what is one single, concrete step that you'll commit to adding to your own post-protest routine? Because taking care of yourself isn't just self-care, it's an act of community care, and it's what keeps our movement strong. Thanks for tuning in.